Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Crumble Takes, and on today's video we are going to be grading each AFC team's season from the 2022 to 23 season. Now I'm going to be grading based on their projections to do it and what they did, their performance. So follow my TikTok at CrumbleTake732, my Twitter at CrumbleTake, so you never miss an update from me. And let's start it off with the AFC North. Browns 7-10, missed playoffs. This Cleveland Browns season, I think a lot of people thought was going to be overwhelming. They end up going 7-10 with Deshaun Watson, their new quarterback that they just traded for, getting suspended for 12 games because of all them accusations and scandals behind it. Now, there was nothing really special that the Browns did. They had Jacoby Brissett. He was a decent backup for the time that Watson was suspended, but the Browns' defensive coordinator got fired after this year. Their defense was just overall terrible, springing probably their 7-10 record and their offense not really being all that. Nick Chubb was good the first few games, and then he kind of fell off. But I think the future of this Cleveland Browns team will be good once Watson gets unrusty and with the weapons around him. They got Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones, but their season was very overall middle of the pack, I would say. But I feel like this will eventually change. But like I said, this season was kind of lame for them. I mean, it was kind of not like a rebuilding season, but in the middle. My grade on them is season grade C-. Steelers 9-8, missed playoffs. The Steelers surprisingly once again had a winning record after coming up their season, basically starting with nothing. Mitchell Trubisky was the quarterback, eventually getting benched for Kenny Pickett, and Pickett actually had a decent rookie season. I'd probably give it a B- if I had to grade it, some ups and some downs. The Steelers had the 26th ranked offense. Their offensive coordinator, as Steelers fans know, Matt Canada, garbage. Their defense was of course 10th ranked with TJ Watt being behind there. Now I'd say this season was very interesting because they went on a 4-game win streak to bring the season to over 500 once again. Mike Tomlin just loves having that record. They almost made playoffs, but the week 17 with the Dolphins winning kicked them out, and it was just a whole bunch of things. But I would say this Pittsburgh season was very mid. It was kind of bad, but it looks like there should be some good upcoming in Pittsburgh in the future with the stuff I have seen coming towards the end of the season. I do believe Matt Canada should have been fired, but he wasn't, but that's okay. My grade is season grade B-. Ravens 10-7, lost in the wild card round. Alright, so we all know I'm a Ravens fan, so you know I might go on a little bit of rant here. We finished second in the division. It's like, okay, we probably should have gotten first now. Now the offense was ranked 19th because Lamar got hurt. We saw what Lamar can do with that Miami game, man. He changes the game for us. He got hurt. Our offense, we're living off of Justin Tucker field goals. The defense, though, we traded for Roquan Smith. 3rd ranked defense, just killing it on that defense. Wonderful defense. We need to keep all them pieces together. It should work. Now, the Ravens lost in the wild card round to the Cincinnati Bengals, and how do I feel about that? Well, we should have ran the dang ball, but Greg Roman called the quarterback sneak. So guess where Greg Roman is currently? Not on the team anymore. They just hired the offensive coordinator from Georgia. So now, this Baltimore team going into the future should be good as long as they can re-sign Lamar and give Lamar some weapons, and I think this team should be good. With our kicker, of course, the best kicker in the league, and quarterback once we get out there. My grade is season grade B. Bengals 12-4, lost in the AFC Championship. Alright, so Bengals, they went 12-4 this year. So what do I have to say about them? Well, they did indeed start off super slow, I would say, going 4-4. They were looking kind of scared like they would miss the playoffs, or at least to me it was like, hey, that might be a bad thing, something bad might happen. Now they end up going on a huge win streak, winning all these games, and they end up making it to the AFC Championship game. They had the 7th ranked offense. I mean, what do you expect? T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, just a stacked offense. Now the defense was very underrated, ranked 6th. And that really surprised me because I didn't think their defense was going to be that well, but it really was. Now, the one thing that killed them was their O-line. Once again, their O-line was terrible. I mean, I wouldn't say it should be terrible, but it all got hurt in that divisional round game and that wild card game versus the Ravens, which really screwed them in a lot of ways. Now, I think the Bengals overall had a good team and a good year, and they will be very scary in the future. My grade on the Cincinnati Bengals is grade A-. Jets 7-10, missed playoffs. The Jets trolled so hard this year. So they start off with a 6-4 record and end the season with a 7-10 record. Now the big reason for this problem happening is Zach Wilson was their quarterback, and he was trash. He was pretty much trash. He's garbage. We all know about the New England game, how he had a terrible game, just terrible. Now, when Mike White got put in, he was balling. I will not lie, he was balling, but then he got hurt, and then the team completely derailed. It was pretty much over from there. Now, Garrett Wilson and the defense was looking pretty good, I'm not going to lie. So I think this team will be kind of nice in the future. If they need to address the quarterback situation, I will agree, because that quarterback situation that they had this year was completely garbage. It wasn't good at all. But Sauce Gardner, that's another piece too. So I personally think the Jets, they're going to be dangerous in the future. And the grade I give the Jets for their season this year is grade C. Patriots 8-9 missed playoffs. Now, I would say the Patriots also had an interesting season. They actually started their season 6-4 and went 8-9. They also kind of did what the Jets did and choked. They had the 11th ranked defense, which Bill Belichick usually always had these great defenses, and the 17th ranked offense. Now, what really was the problem for the Patriots this year was the offense. The offense really wasn't that good. There wasn't no big playmakers besides Ramondre Stevenson. He was pretty much the only playmaker on the team. Mac Jones looked like a shell of himself from last year. He did not look the same. But the fact is, they couldn't make the playoffs, but the last week they played the Buffalo Bills, and they did not. Now, the Patriots, a lot of people thought they could be bad because their draft last year was so bad, and it pretty much is showing that they have no playmakers. They need to add some playmakers, and this is the whole reason why the Patriots had such a bad year this year. And my grade on the Patriots season is grade C. Dolphins 9-8, lost in the wild card round. Now, the Dolphins, I should say, also had a super interesting season. I want to keep saying about all the teams, but Dolphins ended up going 9-8. They have the 11th ranked offense. Their defense ranked 24th. Their defense was pretty bad, I will not lie. Xavier Howard really did regress. They traded for Bradley Chubb, and he really didn't do much. But the Dolphins started 3-0. They were on fire. It looked like, okay, Dolphins. And then Tua suffered a concussion. They go on a 3-game losing streak. Tua comes back. They go on a 5-game winning streak. And then Tua just starts playing bad, and it goes downhill, and Tua gets another concussion. And it just all starts going downhill once Tua starts having these concussions. Now, the Dolphins, they were looking pretty good. I'm not lying. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle look like they're amazing. Even Mostert looks super good. Now, they had a pretty good overall season. They made the playoffs. I will not lie. I feel like they would have did better if Tua never got hurt. They made the playoffs. They did take an L in a very close game to the Buffalo Bills in the wild card round. The game was very close. I think they had a chance at winning, but you know what are you going to do when Skylar Thompson's your starting quarterback in your playoff game? Now, I'd give the Dolphins a grade B. Bills 13-3, lost in the divisional round. I think there's only one word I should be using for the Buffalo Bills end of season. Disappointing. I mean, we all expected them to go to the Super Bowl. Well, most of us expected them to go to the Super Bowl, and they lost in the divisional round to the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, the regular season, I will admit, was good as everyone expected. They're going 13-3. Josh Allen, it was looking like an MVP candidate at the start of the season, but then he had a UCL injury and he kind of fell off a little bit. They had the one snow game where they moved the game to Detroit, and they went on that huge win streak at the end, but they couldn't get it done versus the Bengals, man. And it's really killing. It's starting to look like the Bills are like, can they get over the hump? Can Allen get over the hump? Like, this should have been a year where they probably should have played in the Super Bowl. They looked action-packed, and now, yep, it just died off. Diggs stopped getting targets and stuff. It was all failure. Von Miller also tore his ACL. That didn't help Buffalo either. Defense was looking kind of Well, I give the Buffalo Bills this season, their grade is a grade B-. Texans 13-1. Atrocious AFC South. It was so bad. The Texans were bad as expected, going 13-1, second worst record in the league. Now, they had Davis Mills at their quarterback. He got benched for Kyle Allen, and then they were using Jeff Driscoll. They had a whole quarterback carousel. It was weird. Brandon Cooks wanted to trade. He didn't get traded. The one bright spot I would say on their team looked like the running back Dameon Pierce. I mean, they did draft Stingley. They have some young pieces on defense that might be helpful in the future. But I mean, the Texans season, man, 3 wins and a tie and 13 losses. Like, y'all should know the grade I'm about to give them. Like, this season was trash. It was a failure for the Texans. They weren't good at all. They fired their head coach, Lovie Smith, which I don't believe should have been fired because he didn't really have no pieces to work with. But like I said, season was just a total failure for the Houston Texans. There isn't much to say about them. Grade F. Colts 4-12. The Colts were so bad. It literally blows my mind. Vegas had them as a negative to win the division. I thought they were going to walk away with the division, and they didn't. They end up going 4-12, missing the playoffs. Pretty much they were just hot garbage. Now here's where it starts. Matt Ryan was their starting quarterback. He got benched twice in the same year. Frank Wright, he got fired. Put in Jeff Saturday as in your head coach. What are you doing? And then guess what? Jonathan Taylor has consistent 2 ankle injuries in the same year, so he's out. Rip all my fantasy managers out there. I was one of them. The Colts were just not good. They blew a 33-0 lead to the Vikings. The greatest comeback ever was against them. This is how bad the Colts were this year. They were part of that Thursday night football Bronco and Colts game. It was just all downhill and all garbage for the Colts. I thought they were going to walk away with the division, but they did not. They get the pick. Hopefully they draft Stroud Young this year. But the Colts, grade I give them for this year is grade D. Titans 7-10, miss playoffs. Never been that high on my whole time watching. I'm like, they were frauds. At the beginning of the year when they had that hot streak, they were looking like, oh yeah, their Titans are gonna tighten and all that stuff. Like, I'm like, no dude, they're frauds. And it really started to show that they ended the season with a 7-10 record. I never thought that Tennessee was gonna be something. One, they had no wide receivers. Their only playmaker was pretty much Derrick Henry, and even he can't really carry the load like that. Like, Henry's trying to get old. He's gonna want out. But anyways, talk about this season. Their defense really wasn't nothing either. They really weren't that good. That one Sunday night game that they played with Malik Willis, guess what? The wide receivers had no receptions. It was all tight ends and Henry and Malik. That's how bad it really was. The Tennessee Titans are not a good football team. They're pretty much going into a rebuilding phase now. It's not looking good for them. Derrick Henry, I think, is eventually going to be like, I don't know if I want to be here. This is kind of trash. And honestly, I don't freaking blame him at all if he wants to do that, because the Titans, they don't even know who their starting quarterback's going to be next season. Ryan Tannehill, Malik Willis, or somebody else. But the Titans grade, their grade is grade D. Jags 9-8, lost in the divisional round. The Jags started off pretty bad. I'm pretty certain they started 2-7. It was pretty bad for them. And then they go on this win streak and get to the last week versus the Titans to a play-in game. And when they get to the play-in game to the playoffs, they go into the playoffs. I'm like, oh, Jaguars. And then they come back from 0-27 versus the Chargers. The Jaguars second half. If I was not grading the full season, the Jags would have a bad season. If I was grading just the first half, but I'm grading the whole half. The Jags were amazing second half of the season. In that playoff game, even the KC game, they had a lot of mistakes, but they gave it to KC, I will not lie. Even though Mahomes got hurt, they pretty much gave it to KC, I will not lie. They're looking dangerous. They're getting Calvin Ridley in the future. This team is going to be really good. Their defense, I feel like, needs a few more pieces, but their offense is looking pretty much loaded. Like, come on now. They got a ton of talent. Jaguars, they're looking like they might run this division for a few years. My grade on the Jaguars season is grade? You know what? A-. Broncos 5-12, miss playoffs. Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, let's ride. Okay, I'm gonna stop with the jokes. Okay, Broncos, garbage. Like, do I even need to be here and grade them? They were trash. They were 5-12. Their expectations were all up in the air. They went 5-12. Absolutely garbo. Russell wasn't playing the same. Nathaniel Hackett's was a terrible head coach. That's why he got fired. The defense was probably the only good thing on this team. The O-line was hurt. Basically the whole team was hurt. The star running back was hurt. Cortland Sutton didn't do that well, probably because Russell Wilson didn't do that well. I mean, what is there to grade? There is literally nothing to grade. Like, if I was grading this and I was the teacher, it'd be the easiest grade ever. You know what their grade is? I'm about to tell y'all the Denver Broncos grade, and y'all are going to laugh. Grade LMAO. Raiders 6-11, missed playoffs. How should I talk about the Raiders season? Oh, we do the same thing as we talked about the Broncos. A disappointment. They just acquired Devontae Adams. They added Chandler Jones. They had some pieces. Man. And they went up going 6-11. That's pretty bad. I will not lie. Pretty bad for the expectations they had. They had some playoff expectations. They did not. They're one of the last teams to get a win this year. Their offense was shaky. It was on and off. Sometimes it'd be good. Sometimes it'd be bad. Sometimes it'd be mid. Their defense was probably, I'd say, below average. I wouldn't lie. Their defense was below average. I would say their only thing was Matt Crosby. They had the number 1 rusher in the league, my boy Joshua Jacobs. And guess what? They still go 6-11. And they could have been 5-12 if it would for Jacobs always putting the team on his back like that Seattle game winner. That man just put the team on his back, led the league in rushing, and now look it. They might franchise tag him, keeping this player hostage basically, all because of this. Now, they were disappointing, I won't lie. They had some crazy losses, I would say some heartbreaking losses, some insane wins. Talking about the Patriots win, the Seahawks win too. But it's like, wow, they failed expectations most definitely, I would say. Grade D. Chargers 10-7, lost in the wild card round. I'm not gonna lie, the Chargers got me. They got me red-handed. I picked them to win the division this year. I thought they had a chance to go to the AFC Championship, and what did they do? They disappointed me so hard. So not only did they have some super inconsistent games this season, like ridiculously inconsistent. I don't know how they honestly had a 10-7 record. They choked the second largest lead in the playoffs, going up 28-0 on the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then choking. The Chargers had so high expectations this year when they added J.C. Jackson, Khalil Mack. They re-signed Mike Williams. They looked like they was going to be a top team, and I did too. Guess what? They got me on the fool's gold. They went 10-7. They got a wild card spot of course, the team next won the division. We'll get into that later. But yes, oh my gosh, the Titans were fool's gold. I mean, not Titans, Chargers were fool's gold. Yes, it honestly makes me saddening because I wanted to see Justin Herbert finally get in that playoffs and win a playoff game that he's well deserved. But no, he's going to have to wait till next year. And we'll just see how that goes. I don't think that's going to even go well. But their defense was kind of It was kind of iffy. But their offense, I mean, it was pretty good besides a few inconsistent games. Grade B-. The Kansas City Chiefs, 14-3, won the Super Bowl. Honestly, I don't even know what to say. They did it against all odds. I thought the Chargers were going to win the division. I didn't think they were going to make playoffs. I thought the division was too stacked. I was in all the hype of the Chargers, Raiders, and Broncos. And look who ends up winning the Super Bowl, man. This is crazy to me, how they really won the Super Bowl. I mean, they get rid of Tyreek Hill. Mahomes throws for 5,000 yards a year. They get rid of Tyreek Hill. I mean, him and Kelsey is that's just unstoppable, man. Like, it just blows my freaking mind, dude, how they were this good. It just blows my mind. Mahomes he's a good quarterback. I'm not the biggest Mahomes fan, but he's the best quarterback in the league. I can't even lie to you. Like, they went 14-3. They're going to tear in the regular season, best offense. And then in the playoffs, they beat a Jaguar team. Whit Mahomes got injured that game. They beat a Cincinnati Bengals team who was fighting to get back to the Super Bowl. And then they beat an Eagles team. It's insane. That Super Bowl is also one of the best Super Bowls I've ever watched. Thank you guys for that thing. But yeah, they did it defy all odds. I mean, the grade should be obvious what I'm going to give them. Best offense in the league, I would most definitely say. Grade A+. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, drop a comment on how you feel that your team did this year. The NFC video will be out next week. Thank you, and I hope everybody who's watching this has a fantastic day.